Hello everyone, Jacob here. Just wanted to make a quick video to give a little bit of motivation and inspiration out into the world. I posted yesterday something that was kind of driving me nuts, and it was, I posted yesterday. I said, "Who in your life is pushing you to be great?" Because there's very few people in my life that are pushing me to be great, and I am someone I am personally obsessed with the idea of my camera battery died, so we're just gonna go look at this beautiful pretty picture that I took. But anyways, I'm obsessed with this idea of potential. And I was listening to this podcast yesterday with Jordan Peterson and this Catholic pastor or preacher, and they were talking about how Jordan Peterson is very scientific minded, and the preacher, of course, or the pastor, is Catholic, so he believes in God completely. And Jordan Peterson, he did this lecture series on the Bible, and this lecture series on the Bible got millions and millions of views, and it drew a lot of attention. And this lecture series, personally, is one of the best things that I've ever watched or listened to in my entire life. I would say that they had a huge effect on my views of Christianity. I would say they had a huge effect on my views of life, and I would say they play an extremely large role in um, my obsession with potential. And they were talking, and they were going back and forth in the video, and they were talking about how everything comes back to good, and the pastor was relating this as everything comes back to God. And the end goal of everyone's action is ultimately to find happiness. And Jordan Peterson was like, I actually don't believe that. I think people have the intention of actually creating harm. And the pastor was going back and forth with him, with saying like, oh, well, that's their happiness or something like this. But that's not the point. The main idea, which is the overarching concept of 99% of people, the the end goal of action is happiness. But unfortunately, it seems like with this day and age of social media and diet and simulation entertainment, we've kind of been brainwashed into accepting an extremely low level and superficial happiness. Happiness has now turned into material possession. It has now turned into likes on Instagram. It has now turned into um, physical appearance. It has now turned into, opinion. Like, life is good if people say that your life is good. Which is just crazy, because life should only be good if you think your life is good. And that, I believe that should be also with the absence of the technology or substances that many consume in order to make their life good, even though it's probably not. I was having a conversation with someone one time, and I was like, um, caffeine is like an extreme problem in America. And it was like, I think caffeine is like a technique to get people to do things that they don't like. Because, when I'm working on my business, for example, unless I'm really tired or it's really early in the morning or just something like this, most of the time I can go for hours without having to consume caffeine. But if you want me to study chemistry for 3 hours, that's going to suck way more than working on something that I'm actually passionate about. And no, I'm not saying life is just sunshine and rainbows and you should only do what you're passionate about or anything like this. I'm saying that, you know, this seems to be an issue. I saw a tweet the other day from this guy that I follow. He said, caffeine keeps the worker bees happy, and it also keeps you a worker bee. And, I think alcohol does the same thing. I think tobacco does the same thing. I think a lot of these substances that give you a high, let's say, and yes, caffeine gives you a high, whether you want to say that or not. I think all these substances that kind of take you out of reality for a sec are a masking to make your life good, when it's actually not. Because if you think about life, 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, or even just at the core level, you shouldn't need any of that to be happy. Like, think about your life when you were 10 years old. Were you happy because you had a cup of coffee in the morning? Or did you have energy because you had a cup of coffee? Or were you able to go play with your friends for hours on end because of some low-level substance that was keeping you in it, or technology that was entertaining you? Was it what brought life meaning in your early years? And I come back to these early years because the early years are when you're still kind of discovering and pushing your limits and becoming who it is that you want to be. Or finding out who it is that you are. And unfortunately, it seems like many of us go to college or go to school and we're kind of told who we are as opposed to becoming who we are. And also, many college students form addictions during college. And those addictions never leave because, one, quitting an addiction is very difficult, and two, their addiction was a result of pursuing a career that they didn't want to have. And now they're in the career and they have to keep the addiction in order to stay happy in the career. Because that's what I went to school for. And I'm going to be judged if people, if I say I don't want to do this anymore. Or I don't want to say that I wasted 4 years, so now I'm going to waste the rest of my life being an accountant. Or something like this. And if accounting makes you happy, that's fine. I don't care. But the main thing that I'm trying to say, or the main point or inspiration behind this video is, your goal in life should be to do the things not that just make you happy, but that add benefit and good into your world. And, I was having this conversation with my dad the other day, and, he was getting on to me about what I'm doing with my life. And, over the last few years, I've taken a very uncommon route. And my goals are very uncommon. And the life that I want to live is very uncommon. And, my parents have had a very difficult time understanding that, as well as other people. And that's completely understandable. I'm probably going to fail for a very long time until I figure it out. But I'm going to try, because I would hate to look back at 80 years old and be like, damn, I gave it up whenever I could have kept going. And, I guess the message would be, if you were 80 years old, looking back on your life, what would you want to say that you were doing? And I think that question is something really important. And if you were also to bring that even more micro, if you were 80 years old and you look back on your life on what you were doing today or right now, what would you want to say that you were doing? And I think that's a really important question to consider every day. And the first question I asked at the beginning of this video was, who in your life is pushing you to be great? And, this video was made to push you to be great, whoever is listening. But if you don't have that person in your life, there's two things you can do. One, you don't need a physical mentor anymore. I've learned more from the internet than from anything else. My mentors are Elon Musk and Jordan Peterson and other people that I look up to extremely, and that are living lives that I think are exhilarating and very full of meaning and are rooted back in the idea of pursuing God. But if you don't have someone directly in your life that's pushing you to be great, then become that person. Become that person for you. Become that person for everyone around you. or at least become that person for the people that are wanting to become great. Encourage them. Don't be the person that pulls people down because you're down also. That's not good. That's not a good thing to do. The best thing you can do is realize that you're down and try and get back up and pull everyone up with you. And I feel like if I was 80 years old and I looked back on my life and that's what I did, I would be very happy. And I think most people would also. So go back, assess your life, think about what you're doing, think about your view from 80-year-old you. What is it that you're trying to do? What is the legacy? What is the life that you're trying to live? And what is the effect that you can have right now? And we're all starting from zero. I start from zero every day, and I think everyone does. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it figured out. You don't have to be some guru. You don't have to be established. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm trying. And if this video can inspire someone else to keep trying, or try in the first place, then it's worth it. Because, it's not easy to make these videos either, especially when your camera stops recording but you decide to keep going. But anyways, that's it. That's all I had to say. And be that person in your life that's going to not only push you to be great, but push everyone else around you as well. And go have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic week. Join Collective. I'll love you forever. And yeah, adios, friends.